Hello everybody, I'm Sophie, and I'm going to explain you something about Paulo Freire and his popular schools and the Krishnamurti schools. How did I get to know these philosophers? Well, I studied philosophy, and many years later I decided to become a teacher, and I studied a teacher degree at the university to teach about philosophy and religions. But at the teacher degree, they didn't explain me much about Freire and Krishnamurti, so I searched on my own more about these, because to me they're very appealing because of the freedom as a part of learning, an important part of learning. They both start with the freedom just to be yourself. Freedom not as something you have to gain or you have to obtain, but they want you to be free already from the beginning, to be yourself. And what is also important is that they both work, in their education, students need to think critically, reflect in dialogue, and act upon their reflections in the interest of humanity at large. With Krishnamurti, it's even more in the interest of all living beings and your relationship to the universe. For me, this is an important part because freedom is like the driving force behind learning to me. It's intrinsically motivating. And they both are against authority. They say that any kind of authority kills the basic instinct to feel free or just to be who you are. And they both want to change society, transform society through education. They don't want to adapt people to fit in society or in a kind of already organized system, let's say.
You look at Paulo Freire schools. What is actually the philosophy behind these schools?
Yeah. The pedagogy of Paulo Freire is more political in nature. Actually, when he was young, he experienced a period of poverty. You also have to understand his pedagogy in in the context of South America, where there was a lot of poverty, social injustice. Think about the liberation theologists who also fought against social injustice. He's doing something similar, but then in education. The philosophy behind is that traditional schools actually emphasize the teacher's teaching and not the student's learning. It's all about mastering a fixed content, like a curriculum in the traditional schools, while Paulo Freire believes you should negotiate the content of what they will explore. You need to look more at the lives of the students, the pupils, to reflect about it so that the pupils understand their situation. So he looks at oppressors and the oppressed. What happens? The oppressed people or the poor people have internalized a negative image of themselves, and he wants them to explore their situation to really understand how to improve their life or how to improve their conditions. So actually he wants education to be a transformative, liberating, democratic process to transform society, to transform their lives. He wants a world where social inequality does not exist. It's like a kind of ideal he believes in, but he also believes much in everything is related. Without the oppressor talking to you as if you are stupid, as if you have no intelligence at all, or as if you are powerless, of course the oppressed believes it, and he internalizes everything, and he acts upon this. So this is pretty important, and he thinks that through critical consciousness you can reflect upon it and you can find ways to transform the situation. So in this way it's very political.
So how does he incorporate all these ideals into the school environment?
Well, first of all, I already mentioned the content is all about the lives of the pupils. So a teacher needs to study his students. He needs to understand their world. He needs to understand how they experience, how they feel their lives, and then he makes thought-provoking questions. Then they reflect upon this, and dialogue, for example, is very important. For example, he can start with a phrase or with a lecture, and then first they all talk about how they understand it objectively in the beginning. They express their views, and through dialogue they investigate their own thinking, let's say. It's about critical thinking and then looking for a way to get out of this situation. Of course, they also find out the contradictions in their lives. Many times it's about political themes the students reflect upon. Yeah. What else? Yeah, the relationship between the teacher and the pupils is pretty different. It's more about equality. You are on the side of the students. You are in the same struggle, so you really need to love them and believe in in the power of humanity, of all human beings. You need to create an atmosphere of trust and of hope. Those are the most important elements, I guess. Yeah. It's similar to therapy. I think nowadays many people go into therapy to critically reflect upon their situation and then act upon it. Because, okay, I'm now explaining Freire in a theoretical way, but the most important thing about his education is the practice. If you don't put your ideas in practice, you can never find out if they are true or not. It's like making contact to reality by putting it into practice, see if it works, if it's not working. And so I think he's educating not to get a job, but actually for your whole life. And it's also pretty, well, there are many, I think, emotions involved in how you experience the world and how you can maybe change that. So yeah, I see it as an education more than schools do right now.